Alexandria, Egypt, 1920. Women began to vanish. Quietly at first, then in disturbing numbers. Wives, mothers, daughters. They would leave home and never return. Whispers spread across the city that women were being killed, that bodies were being buried under the floors of ordinary homes. And when the truth came out, it shocked the entire nation. The killers were not shadowy men in the night. They were two sisters, Raya and Sakina. And together, they would become the most infamous female killers in Egyptian history. Like and subscribe, because I share chilling mysteries and eerie true crime stories like this every single day. And tonight, we travel back to 1920s Alexandria to uncover the story of Raya and Sakina. The First World War had ended. But for Egypt, the scars remained. British occupation controlled the nation. Poverty spread. Cities swelled with workers, migrants, and soldiers. Alexandria, a coastal city of trade and industry, was alive with energy. But it was also alive with vice. Brothels, gambling dens, smuggling. The underworld thrived in the shadows. It was in this environment that two sisters would rise, not as victims of the city's darkness, but as predators who used it to their advantage. Raya and her younger sister Sakina were born into poverty. They knew hardship from the start. They married young, moved often, and eventually settled in Alexandria. But instead of honest work, they slipped into crime. They ran brothels. They dealt in alcohol during Prohibition. They mingled with pimps, thieves, and soldiers. They were known to police already, but no one imagined what they were truly capable of. Behind closed doors, they were planning something far darker. Sisters didn't act alone. They drew their husbands into the scheme, and a few trusted accomplices. Together, they formed a small gang, one that preyed on women. They lured victims into their homes. Neighbors thought they were meeting friends, or drinking, or buying goods. But once inside, the women were never seen again. The sisters used charm, hospitality, and then violence. wait until the victim was distracted. Then, they attacked. One would grab her arms, another her legs. A scarf was pulled tight around her neck, strangled, quick, silent. When the body fell still, the sisters stripped away jewelry and valuables, gold earrings, bracelets, coins. Then, they dug shallow graves beneath the very floors of their homes, covering the bodies with sand, hiding the evidence right under their feet. And then, they waited for the next victim. Over the months, women kept disappearing. Relatives searched. Posters went up. But answers never came. The police dismissed many cases. Women leave home all the time, they said. Some claimed the missing had run away with lovers. Others said they left the city for work. But the families knew. Something darker was happening. Whispers grew that women were being targeted, that killers walked among them. And still, Raya and Sakina smiled, welcoming guests into their homes, while bodies lay buried beneath their feet. Truth began to surface in late 1920. Neighbors complained of a stench. Police grew suspicious of the sisters' houses. When they dug into the floors, they found it. Human remains. The buried bodies of women. The investigation widened. More houses connected to the sisters were searched, and more bodies were uncovered. 17 women. All murdered, all buried beneath the homes of Raya and Sakina. The city erupted in shock. Rounded up the sisters, their husbands, their accomplices. At first, Raya and Sakina denied everything. They smiled. They swore innocence. But the evidence was overwhelming. Bodies buried in their floors. Jewelry and clothes traced back to victims. Witnesses who had last seen women entering their homes. The sisters were killers. The trial would make history. The trial of Raya and Sakina began in 1921. Crowds filled the courthouse. The press covered every word. The nation followed in horror. The sisters showed little remorse. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they argued with each other in court. The prosecution laid out the case. 17 women, strangled, robbed, buried beneath their homes. It was not just murder, it was premeditated. Organized, a reign of terror. The verdict was swift, guilty. Raya and Sakina, along with their husbands and accomplices, were sentenced to death. In December 1921, the sisters were hanged. They became the first women ever executed by hanging in modern Egypt. Their deaths shocked the nation as much as their crimes. Never before had Egypt seen women killers like them. Sisters who turned against other women for greed and survival. Raya and Sakina's story didn't die with them. They became part of Egyptian folklore, the ultimate cautionary tale. Symbols of betrayal, cruelty, and evil hidden in plain sight. Plays were written, movies were made, television dramas reimagined their story. Even comedians referenced their names. In Egypt today, Raya and Sakina are more than killers. They are icons of fear. Their names alone still send. Why did they do it? Poverty, greed, or something darker in their nature? 17 women entered their homes and never left alive. The sisters turned friendship into a trap, hospitality into murder, and their homes into graves. They remain the most infamous sisters in Egyptian history. Every time their names are spoken, the horror of 1920 returns.